creating curiosity by asking better questions. This is Shed Talk. Don Lavergne, MKL Design Studios. The things you know that you don't know. Don Lavergne,
Hi.
Thank you very much for coming on Shed Talk. I am so happy that you're here. And I understand this is actually your first podcast.
My very first.
So that's a great sign and everything like that. So this is good. Good.
Thank you for having me.
Are you a little nervous?
A little, yeah.
Oh, great. We're going to have so much fun with this. So Dawn, I have to ask you, because MKL Design Studios that you own, and for yourself as an entrepreneur woman, what has been one of the greatest challenges as an entrepreneur?
Oh, that's a tough one. It's interesting because the one thing that I think that stands out as an entrepreneur, and maybe as a woman, maybe we feel this differently, there is a big sense of loneliness in owning your own business, and not having somebody to, rely on and talk to help you make big decisions, right? And I find that is the biggest thing that I've noticed about being an entrepreneur.
And being an entrepreneur, because for myself,
Yep.
as being an entrepreneur for 25 years with Spindle Stairs and Railings,
Yep.
and then doing stuff, do you have any mentors that you do you work with any groups and stuff like that?
I volunteer a ton, so I have a lot of industry connections. I also have a lot of girlfriends that also work in the industry. So, and a lot of them I do tend to gravitate to other women that do own or have owned their own businesses in the industry, for sure.
Yeah. And what I found is growing myself, because that is the hardest part, is actually finding like-minded people
Correct.
and organizations. Because I belong to an organization called EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. Have you heard of it?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, and I've been a member for that for about 25 years right now. I'm one of the longest outstanding members.
Okay.
But it's been like my board of directors to
Yeah.
be able to guide me through businesses, personal, every aspect of it.
Right.
And none of them that are in that organization actually don't sell to each other. So it's very interesting to grow, especially being female.
Yes.
As an entrepreneur. There's only like 10%. And that are successful in doing it. Like, you got to be pretty proud of yourself right now. And MKL Design Studios.
Yes.
And how did you start that?
Kind of out of necessity, I guess. I had been working for a builder for a long time, and they had some internal shuffling that they were doing. And they wanted to kind of outsource their design work. So I started my own company to do some work, to continue to do work for them. But it allowed me then to branch out and start working with other builders. So it was just me to start out with. About a year in, I hired my first employee. And I'm coming up, I think, to my 9th year in business. And yeah, it's grown since then. COVID was a big factor in growth for us. We went from about 3 people to, I think at the height of it, I had about 14 people working for me. We've scaled back since then, and now we're sitting at about 11 people. So, yeah.
So why would COVID have been because we look at COVID that everything shut down, and there's some people that thrived obviously in it.
Yep.
But why did that make it so successful for yourself?
I think the shift, people staying at home, they weren't traveling, they weren't, going out for dinners, they had more money, and their focus became on, the place where they were kind of isolated at the time. So, we saw renovations increase. We saw something that we haven't seen for quite a while, and that was people wanting to get out of the city, recognizing that you could work from anywhere. People were moving out of the city to acreages and even smaller towns at that time. So, yeah, it was an interesting time for us, for sure.
That's interesting, because now here you are, MKL, and you're looking at all the design. What do you find is a great customer? Like, what are they looking for when they're picking you?
We are very big in service. That is, to me, that's a big deal, right? This is a huge purchase that people are making in their life. So I feel like it's up to us to kind of guide them and hold their hand through it. So we have prided our company on service. And then, quality, right? Our plans are what kind of dictate whether or not the build goes smoothly or not. So we pride ourselves on, producing a quality set of drawings and attention to detail in the design for sure.
So what would be the ideal customer? So how would a customer come to you or even get to hear about you?
We get a lot of referral from builders that we have worked with, so that's fabulous. Most of our work is referral, I would say. But yeah, we have social media, of course. We're putting ourselves out there in that aspect. Yeah, an ideal client is it's anybody that's dreaming of, doing any kind of design work on their home, right? They want to create a space that works for them.
And when you're doing the design aspect of it, and from traditional to what phases are there's traditional
Yeah, there's
and
there's modern and contemporary, there's traditional, there's farmhouse, there's all different types of design. And we don't really cater to any one design. We kind of fall in love with each project through the client's eyes, right? So if you came in wanting to do something farmhouse, that might not be my personal style or taste, but we fall in love with it through the client's eyes.
and when they're doing the build, are they usually inner city? Like you had a lot of people that are going outside of the city to build. Are they owning their own property and then getting a builder? How does that work?
Yeah, in a lot of cases, they're buying a piece of property. They bring us in to do due diligence on that property, and then yeah, we'll design the project. Inner city, it's kind of a mixed bag. Like sometimes we'll get clients that come with a piece of property and no builder attached, but sometimes they already have a builder. Maybe the builder owns the lot. Yeah, we kind of get all aspects of it.
So if you were looking at say a customer comes in and says, you know what, I want to build a house. I don't know really. We always talk location,
Yeah,
location, location.
yeah.
But are looking at building a house. But I want to have the most beautiful house, whatever that is. Would I come to you and then you design it? Now we don't have the location yet or that part. So you would look after the whole aspect of the designing of the house and interior of everything.
Yeah, we do absolutely everything. So you could come to us without a lot, and then we could help you. We don't source the lot, but we could definitely look at pieces of property with you to, ensure that what you're getting is something that you can put what you want on it. But if you came with a piece of property, then we would design a specifically custom house based on exactly what you wanted, right from the design of the house itself through to interior design, because we have two interior designers that work in house that handle all aspects of interior design.
So on a renovation side, would they just deal direct with you on a renovation side?
Correct. They could come directly to us, and then we have many builders that we work with that we could recommend for them to, do the work. That's a big factor in building a house is trust, right? And once you've developed a relationship of trust with us, we have relationships with builders that we trust also. So, we're happy to recommend those kind of things to our clients for sure.
So I have to ask you this one question. Dealing with customers and stuff,
Yeah.
have you ever been in a situation that it's been so difficult to deal with customers?
Yeah, I mean, we all get clients that are, a bit more difficult. I think they're, people that just have higher needs or don't understand, I think have less understanding of what the processes are or can't visualize. That's the beauty of, a lot of the programs nowadays that we're using have 3D capabilities. So it really does help the client to get a better understanding of what they have going on. Um, and, you still have clients that maybe your personalities clash, but the nice thing about our team is we have a large enough team that there's always somebody that can work with, that personality for sure.
Yeah, and recognizing prior COVID,
Yep.
and when in the construction industry, when we dealt with, from my experience sharing, with COVID before, customers and clients were, I need now, 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 now. COVID hits, and now it becomes all right. I understand that it's free for you can have more time. Just create me the greatest product or event.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Do you have it? Oh, well, before we would actually see it where
Yeah.
you have to be on time right here, 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 and it was forced. People would actually, um, when we're doing our products, I got to have it done now. I got to have it done now. So everybody would just do whatever it took to get it done, which is great.
Yep.
COVID hits, and all of a sudden, wait, somebody's already sick. They can't make it, because we
Right.
were one of the that we were actually working during COVID,
Right.
because we were the essential workers, so we're there.
Yep.
So, but if someone didn't show up at the house, oh, it's okay. You can come back next week. And I was
Right.
like, oh, wait a second. You mean you're not going to yell and scream? So it all of a sudden opened up that, wait a second. Now COVID finishes. Now, as owning a business, we look at it as that what happens is the person now, we're looking at it, say, now you actually can have the weekend off, because we don't have to force you to work this, because
Right.
now the time frame that people kind of respect, that it's okay to be sick.
To have
We
and
don't
have
want you to
time
come
off.
to work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have seen that. You're right.
Yeah, we see those little bits and pieces. So, what has been the greatest growth for you potential that you've seen in here?
Um, as a business, I guess it's interesting because over the last few years we've expanded. We don't just do residential; we also do some commercial, and that kind of came in the last 5 years. So that's been kind of an interesting, sidebar, I guess, for us to delve into. Yeah, and it's been a huge amount of growth for us. But the biggest thing, I think, aside from that, right now is we're seeing a ton of multifamily stuff, right? With the upzoning, as I would call it, or the rezoning that the city of Calgary is talking about. There are so many people looking to do like fourplex units or fiveplex units, secondary suites. All of those things are really making a big come into the marketplace right now. So
Wow. So the secondary suites and that's massively coming back in then.
it's massively coming back in. And if the city approves this upzoning of everything to RCG or HGO, we're going to see a massive amount of, multifamily style housing going in Calgary. So
Wow. Is that a good thing
I
for
think
Calgary?
it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good thing. We're in a huge housing shortage right now, and we're missing that middle housing component. That $400,000 to $700,000 range is completely missing in Calgary. So I think these types of housing developments are definitely necessary.
And when you're doing the design for these houses, is that your price range between the 4 and 7?
Well, that not necessarily, because it's kind of dependent on where, what area of the city that these developments are going in. But definitely, I think we're going to start to see a lot more of that for sure.
So basically, anyone that's doing a design work, like designing and building blueprints, that's you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Because where else would you go to get it? Because I'm thinking right now, and okay, I need a blueprint. Okay, well, I got to go to my builder. I'll go to my builder, build the blueprint. Well, that becomes like a track builder.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want a track building. I want to be able to have what I want, when I want, how I want it.
Yes.
So this is where you come into play to build that and put that whole infrastructure together for somebody.
Correct. Yes. And in fact, I highly recommend when people are starting this process, it's, finding the right designer is like finding the right builder, right? You need to shop around and you need to talk to people and you need to see who you connect with and fit with, right? That's a big factor in this whole process.
So what should they look for when they're looking for a designer?
Well, somebody that they, get along with, because it's a long process, right? This isn't something that just happens overnight. Building a home with a builder can be a year. It can also be a year in design sometimes before that. When you think about the fact that you might have to go through a development permit, which can be up to 4 months. So there can be time before that for design. There might be time through the development permit where you have to do more design and then some tweaks on the back end. So this is, an 8-month process. So, you're really looking for somebody that, you trust that can, get the design you want and a personality that you can work with for sure.
Interesting. Now, also on the design aspect of it, as in MKL Design, what does MKL stand for, by the way?
Oh, those are my children's names.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mackenzie, Kaylee, and Lauren.
Well, that's kind of cheating it, I
Yeah.
guess. That's awesome. Good for you. That is great. I was wondering, what does the MKL stand for? And we're going, okay, well, that would be, no. Who else is in there? There's another partner in there. What does that look like? That is so awesome.
My kids.
We got the kids
They're my
involved.
greatest inspiration, so.
Are they in the business? Not in the business?
So my oldest does actually work for me right now. I don't think she'll be there for much longer. She's going to go back to school, I think. But no, none of my children are in the industry really.
So working in the industry, as when you were talking about working for builders and then you got into, you started your own company up, how scary was that for you? I know you said it was lonely, you didn't have a lot of people to go with, but as a young entrepreneur, as anybody out there would say, what was the driving, yes, you felt a need.
Yeah.
Okay, you felt a need.
Yep.
But what was that driving internal instinct that you would give to young women and entrepreneurs to start?
It's interesting because I feel like I was born into this. My dad was a home builder growing up, and my mom was an entrepreneur. She owned a couple of businesses at the same time. And so I've kind of had that in my blood for, as long as I can remember. I think that, I think that all women should do this once in their life, own a business. I think there is an empowerment in doing that. Yeah. And I wholeheartedly believe in it. I think that, if you've got something to share, why not do it?
And we find that women in the construction industry it's the man, what do we call it? The male ego. Okay, we're in the old boys club.
Right.
Okay, they're getting in there. And then all of a sudden you're dealing with, oh no, this is how we do it. Then all of a sudden the women, using women, I got to be careful, the woke crowd and everything here. But talk about it, because all of a sudden when you're coming into the industry, you're new as a woman, with trust, compassion, versus as a male on the other side, oh yeah, we know everything. And it's such a big transitional time.
Yes. Yes. And I'm seeing it, like even female builders now. I love that. We do some work with some female builders, and I think it's just they deal with things differently. They process things differently.
And it's amazing because in our showroom we have that, because you can see who's actually connected.
Right.
When you're dealing with the male dominant in the building industry, it's kind of, okay, here it is. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying what it is.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden on the other side, it's the compassion, and all of a sudden you can see the two. Now, who you're going to build with, how you're going to do it. Again, who's your best fit to do that.
Correct.
But in this industry, and talking about the building industry, it needs to have more great women involved in it, because it can truly change it and put it on its head.
Yep.
So
we see that even in our office as well, right? We have men on male architectural technologists and female architectural technologists, and just the way that they look at things is very different, and the details that they see and the things they see differently is interesting to watch, right? To pick up on those things.
So as we're getting into this, I'm going to get a little deeper because it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because you've been in this for a while and you got to see the interior design side, dealing with architectural on that side, okay, and in a male dominant industry as a whole, how does the woke crowd fit into this? Do you see that side of the be very cautious how you do this, what you say and how you say it? Because I've noticed it on my end with employees and stuff. They're all great. Everyone's great. It's like, I have to be careful in how I say it, where I say it. Is it gone to one side versus the other?
I mean, I don't think so. No. I'm not seeing it anyway, and maybe that's just based on who we have within our office, right? But
and being a part of and growing through each individual person, that is so awesome.
Yeah.
Now, do you use AI at all?
We're just starting to a little bit, yeah. Venturing into the AI world for some of our renderings. We're definitely not there yet, but we're dabbling for sure.
Dabbling, and then because that's where I come into play is the Chat GBT, and then see that
we definitely use those, but we're starting to use it for renderings a little bit, and that I'm really excited about. So.
And on the rendering side, how does that work? Doing renderings.
So it's interesting because there's a few different ways to do it. Like you can plug in your, our 3D models and then have it render it. But in some cases, you can just tell it what you want it to kind of put together, and it'll put it together. So we're still playing with that.
Yeah, and that's where we're finding how true that is. We dabble in this, and we try it, and then we make a mistake, and then we go back in and do it all over again.
Yeah.
So where do you see MKL Design coming up in the next little while?
Ooh, That's a tough one. I don't know. We are definitely, I think, going to grow. We are actually hiring right now. We're looking to add to our team. I don't know. We're kind of liking that we're doing a broad range of all kinds of projects, right? From new custom building to lots of big multifamily we're doing right now to the smaller scale multifamily like RCG and HGO, renovations, commercial. We're dabbling into everything.
Right.
We've touched on some small restaurant style projects on the commercial side to office spaces, and we're kind of liking having that mixed bag of projects right now. So I just kind of hope we'll grow in all directions.
So people that are guys, women, or everybody that's and I'm saying architectural technology that are at Sage or university, and I'm assuming,
Yep.
okay, it could be right or wrong.
Yep.
What do you look for in someone that wants to work for you? Like, what do they look for? What do you look for in an employee?
That's a really good question. Definitely, of course, everybody looks at education and everybody looks at experience and what kind of experience that is. We have found that personality is a big factor. You can't teach somebody to, be able to have fun and, because we're a very fun and, joking environment and you can't teach that in people. You can't teach people to fit in. So we kind of are looking for people that fit our team. But personality is a big thing. You can't teach them to care either. So we try to,
So do you put on so when someone's applying,
yeah.
is it a resume?
Yeah, it's usually a resume. We usually get a portfolio too.
Oh.
Yeah. And then when we bring them in, we are now just implementing a test as well on if we bring them back for a second interview, they would do a Revit test to show us that they can use the program. But yeah, we usually plunk in some fun questions to see who they are, right? To ask, if they're dog people or cat people or red wine or white wine or, just some crazy questions like that, just to kind of get a feel for the kind of personality they are and see how they handle those kind of questions.
Well, that would be totally, yeah. I don't like dogs. Okay, well, that's nice. Thanks for coming out and playing the game But is Revit one of the key components to be able to do that?
Correct. Revit is our biggest tool that we use, for designing houses because it's got 3D capability, right? So.
Right. Is there any other programs that you guys would use outside of that? And I'm not familiar with them. I'm just
No, we still use a 2D drafting program, AutoCAD, which is also one of the biggest programs out there. But we use SketchUp and, the guys on the rendering side use some rendering programs that even I don't know the names of all of them. So.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
exactly. So what type of person are you looking for right now to come in there?
We're looking for an intermediate architectural technologist at the moment. So somebody with about 3 years minimum of experience. And, hopefully something in that, custom home or, maybe a little bit of multifamily experience. That's specifically what we're looking for right now.
Do you get a lot of people that jump ship, say they're over at this place and then they move over here to this one? Do you find that?
Yeah, like we get a lot of resumes from a lot of different, some of our competitors, I guess I would say. Yeah, for sure. I feel like, it's such a small industry that everybody knows everything. And funny enough, like some people are, letting people go. So I've had other designers reach out and recommend people that they just can't keep on staff right now. So.
Oh, and that's probably true. And that's why you're going into the commercial side of it must be, because where would you go in commercial side? There wouldn't be a lot of players in that to design your building.
Big players. There's
Yes.
lots of like bigger, commercial companies, but you're right. Like we kind of specialize in what I would call a tenant improvement. So when there's already the shell of the building and then we're going in and designing out the inside of that building. We've done some home conversions into full commercial spaces. But you're right. Like, unless you're going to a big commercial firm, there's not a lot of what I would say are small firms that do kind of this kind of commercial work that we're doing.
So if someone's ever looking for a basement renovation, just for renovation, this would be ideal in your wheelhouse?
Yeah, we absolutely do basement renovations. We do kitchen renovations. We do, small scale renovations up to large scale renovations for sure.
Now, is that the subcontract? You're hiring the subcontractors, or
We
is
do
it you
not.
guys? Or is
No.
that you guys?
No, not
You're
at
just
all.
the design.
Yeah, we just do design. We're happy to, recommend, but we don't do any of it.
Have you ever thought that might be a growing now, this is kind of one of those, well, no, I don't want to bite the hand.
No.
And I'll go back.
Yeah.
Here, I'm in the railing industry. Someone
Yeah.
says, why aren't you in the building industry? I said, why would I bite the hand that feeds me?
Yeah.
I would never do that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that same question.
No.
You do that and say, oh, well, here, we'll do this part. Yeah.
I want to sleep at night. I sometimes feel like builders, like there's a huge amount of stress on builders because, it's something that people are so invested in their house when it's being built. So,
And it's a big difference between commercial and residential, because
yeah.
on a commercial, you can get away with this being out like 1/8 of an inch, but at your house, 1/8 of an inch, no.
is a big deal.
It's
Yeah.
a big deal.
It's 100%. They are completely different animals. And timeframes. I feel like timeframes on commercial is so much faster than timeframes on residential, which is why you can get away with it in commercial and you can't get away with it in residential.
And the time frames, right? What are you finding a time frame right now for an average build?
For a new build on a house?
Yeah.
Well, it depends the level, but usually about 12 months. If you're talking about a bigger high-end custom house, that can be up to 2 years.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And is it interesting when you see the design factor of some builders that do 400 or 500 houses? They're the track building.
Yep.
Not that they're good or bad. They have their place.
I've been in that world before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And doing this world, do
Yeah.
you see the big difference of the two?
Huge difference. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think they have it down to a science, right? Because it's rinse and repeat. They've built this house many, many, many times, right? So those timeframes are, I don't know what, it's been a long time since I've been in that industry, 4 months, maybe 6 months in
Wow.
that track building industry to turn around a house. So it's a big difference.
Yeah, that is a big difference when you look at the whole scheme of things.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do we see MKL Design?
We're not going anywhere.
No. You're definitely doing a lot of new and interesting stuff and building it and building a team.
Yep.
Well, you were mentioning about your team during COVID went up, and then did it slow down after COVID?
It didn't, I wouldn't say it slowed down. No, I just felt like me managing 14 people was a little much for me at the time. And so where we are kind of right now, that 10, 11 employees is about perfect for me to kind of oversee. If we are going to grow beyond that, there's got to be some corporate restructuring that has to happen. And I'm really not sure where that goes yet.
Yeah, and that's a big challenge. What's the next
I'm
level?
sure you know all about that.
Yes, it is. And then getting the right board of directors, meaning your peers, getting the right people that'll talk and what's what we call as a no ask. So you're dealing with somebody that wants to deal with you on a no ask. Oh, here's how I'm going to sell you this program, versus having a group of people that can actually take you to another level and say, hey, here's from my experiences where you're at.
Yep.
This is what we did to go to the next level.
Right.
So that is very challenging. And having kids and working, and where do you do your holidays? Right?
Yeah, you don't.
Right.
Like as an
I was gonna say,
entrepreneur,
do you ever do holidays?
it's very hard to do holidays, right?
I was waiting for you to say, yeah, no, I traveled to Europe for a month and a half out of here, and doing, oh, really? Things are really good then.
No.
Yeah. And it is tough as an entrepreneur because it's lonely at the top. It
Yeah.
really is lonely, and sharing your ideals and situations, because your staff don't really, they understand, they get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they don't know that hardship. Oh, how's that payroll? How's this? Okay, I got to do this. And
Yeah.
you have to be on your game all the time.
It's true.
Clicked in on your
Yeah.
game, and no matter what, good,
Yep.
bad, or indifferent, you could have whatever happened yesterday. Well, today is who I am.
And it could be a completely different world today from yesterday. You never know, right?
That's exactly it. Now, do you have any questions that you want to ask, or anything that we call it at Shed Talk, the things you know that you don't know?
Oh, I don't really have any questions.
And that's why we go, I don't think I know. I might know, or I don't know. But anyway, listen, thank you very much, Dawn, for coming on
Thanks, Kevin.
with Shed Talk and sharing your experience at MKL Design. This is awesome. Thank you.
It was awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now you know. Shed Talk.